Hey there folks, Mike Seeklander here, and I'm American Warrior Society and a Team Wilson Combat member, and I wanted to talk to you real quick about some of the considerations that you need to think about if you're going to buy a short-barreled rifle, which of course takes some additional paperwork with the BATF. Something like this, Wilson Combat, SBR Tactical, which has an 8-inch barrel. It's about 9 inches with the comp, a little bit longer with the suppressor I'm going to show you here in a second. But the point is, why go with the short-barreled AR in the first place? And you can see right away, I'm simply sitting in my vehicle, my truck, and if I had a barrel much longer than this, I would really have a hard time operating inside the vehicle. Like right now with this barrel, and this is probably the shortest barrel that I would personally own, I can still get the muzzle in and around the window, in and around the steering wheel, and do different things. If I had a gun, for example, like my 14.7-inch gun or a 16-inch rifle, I would have almost an impossible time getting it around the steering wheel and the window frame and stuff like that. So the immediate advantages with a short barrel rifle is you get some of the ballistics of a rifle and some of the operability of a rifle, but you get kind of the feel and not quite but similar length to a handgun, for example. But I tell you, with the short barrel rifle, some of the things that I want you to consider right away are, if you were to shoot a gun like this, for example, in a vehicle, and imagine, maybe I'm on that Sunday drive and I've got my wife and I've got my children in the back and I've got this short barrel, with any kind of comp system, any kind of comp or muzzle brake, that's going to be so loud it's going to be deafening. After you fire that first shot, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to hear, and they're certainly not going to be able to hear in order for you to give them commands. So strongly consider, if you've got an SBR that's this short, going with something like this Wilson Combat Whisper Suppressor. Now that I've got it on, you can see right away that even though this is a very short-barreled rifle, I'm immediately having to move the suppressor around things. But the bottom line is, for a home defense gun or a vehicle defense gun, and that's the main reason most people choose a short-barreled AR type system, is you really need to strongly consider probably a suppressor if you're going to be shooting around family members or shooting without earmuffs on. And I don't know of any of us that are going to go to a family outing or be in our home and then take the time, if a threat happens to present itself, to put earmuffs on real quickly. So there's a suggestion for you, okay? Now, one other thing I want you to think about with a rifle inside of a vehicle, and please don't consider this a tactics block of instruction, but I want you to think, and I want to open your mind a little bit about to the skills that you need to have with the rifle. For example, if I needed to shoot the rifle, I know for a fact that I can shoot through a windshield. I mean, it's something you can see on YouTube. A lot of people have tested it. Rifle bullets will typically go right through a windshield. That's not an issue. If I needed to swing the rifle to the right, I have a certain limitation in my swing where I start to really have a problem swinging the rifle without taking my body and getting out of the seat and turning in the seat. So in this case, if a threat happened to present itself from my right-hand side, as a right-handed shooter, I'm probably better served shooting off my left shoulder. And we call that going bilateral. And in a future video, I'm going to show you a live fire drill where you can really work your mount technique as well as going bilateral, learning to shoot off both shoulders. Because the opposite may be true if I'm going out this left window. I can engage through the windshield. I have a pretty good arc of fire here. I could pull the rifle out. I could start to engage targets all the way past where your view is right now. But let's say I wanted to lean out, and for whatever reason I didn't want to or couldn't get outside of the vehicle, because obviously getting outside of the vehicle is going to be your best fighting choice. There's a spot where I can no longer really get the rifle any farther out, but let's say I've got a threat right there just on the other side of this column. And by the way, in a vehicle, these columns on the frame of the vehicle on a pickup truck or a car are literally on the top half some of your best cover. You can shoot through the door, you can shoot through the hood, you can shoot through the tailgate or whatever else, but oftentimes in these major columns, that's actually pretty darn good cover. So if you happen to be able to hide part of your head and your neck and your upper body behind them, get on it. That's a good idea. But from here, once again, if I switch to the other shoulder, now I continue my arc of fire and I have the ability to engage in a bigger or much broader range than I initially did in the first place, okay? So when you think about having a vehicle-borne rifle or a rifle like this, short barrel rifle, strongly consider putting, some sort of suppressor system on it. Consider the length and make absolutely certain that if you're operating in and around a vehicle that you can actually move the rifle in and around the vehicle. And then last but not least, in your training drills, don't limit yourself to just shooting off one shoulder continually. If you're a right-handed shooter or a left-handed shooter, you want to be able to shoot off both shoulders. For purposes of cover or position, as well as, you know, in the event that maybe something really bad happens and I'm shot in this arm and I can no longer pull the trigger with my right hand. Well, I may be able to switch the rifle and do some sort of supporting technique and then pull the trigger with my left hand, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that in a future live fire drill. So there you have it. Some considerations for owning and buying a short-barreled rifle and using them in and around a vehicle, or maybe specifically your home, and the advantages of a short-barreled rifle, and some things you need to consider. And by the way, this is the Wilson Combat short-barrel rifle tactical. This is actually an 8-inch full-length barrel, and if you put the comp or the suppressor, of course, that adds length to it. So check it out. Make sure you get out there. Don't limit yourself. Hit the range and work these skills.